Hello, I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for our July 24th of 2022's lesson, Lesson 205 in A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students from the original edition. And it's a review of 185. I want the peace of God. I want the peace of God. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I want the peace of God. The peace of God is everything I want. The peace of God is my one goal, the aim of all my living here, the end I seek, my purpose and my function and my life, while I abide where I am not at home. Calls this world where we're not at home. Reminds me of Jesus saying, the foxes have their dens and the birds of the air have their nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. This isn't the Son of Man, which is us, This isn't our home. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I want the peace of God. And this has been a favorite verse of mine out of Isaiah for years. And it's Isaiah 26, verse 3. And it says, "You keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you." You keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you. Isn't that a beautiful verse, Isaiah 26? Okay, let's go take a look in our text reading, and we'll come back and look at that again. The name of God is my inheritance. God's name reminds me that I am his son, not slave to time, unbound by laws which rule the world of... I'm reading the wrong one. I want the peace of God. The peace of God is everything I want. The peace of God is my one goal, the aim of all my living here, the end I seek, my purpose and my function and my life, while I abide where I am not at home. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Okay, let's go take a look in our text. We're ready for we're still in chapter 23, The War Against Yourself. And we're in section 3, The Laws of Chaos. And we're going to pick up there in a minute. We'll look at it here in a minute. Let me tell you about a favorite pole bean that I'm going to read to you out of the Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. And it's Old Homestead, also more commonly known as Kentucky Wonder Pole Bean. 65 days. This homesteader's heirloom was first mentioned in the Country Gentleman magazine in 1864 under the name of Texas Pole. It was not until 1877 that it was introduced as Kentucky Wonder by James J.H. Gregory and Sons, and has been popular ever since. It is a pole bean with 6 to 8 inch long green pods that are very tender when cooked and have a great flavor. In 1896, Peter Henderson and Company said, "This we regard as far ahead of any other green pole bean." They also said it was 10 days earlier. So that's your Old Homestead Kentucky Wonder pole bean. And I wanted to tell you a little bit more about this Yarrow. Okay, the Yarrow, the squirrel's tail. And I found this in featherandfrond.org. Store the Yarrow styptic, blood stopper, styptic powder in an airtight container and keep in your first aid kit or medicine cabinet. Sprinkle the powder, which is basically powdered dried herb, of the leaf and the flower. Sprinkle the powder on wounds, or in the event of a nosebleed, place a pinch of the powder up the nose to stop the bleeding. And I liked their little statement in there. They said, "Thank you, Yarrow, for all your medicinal healing properties." Anyway, that's your Achillea millefolium. We're still really wanting to make sure that you really understand what it looks like, go out and make sure you find some. This one's starting to turn a little brown in the middle. I had it in the ice box, and I think it got a little cold there. But anyway, it's a little squirrel's tail. They grow up. Look for those. There'll be 5 or 6 of them growing up, usually in a little clump, and then the flower will shoot up through the middle. If you see the flower, a little white, generally a white flower. Anyway, that's your Achillea millefolium. I'll probably eat that one as soon as we're done with our lesson. Okay, the laws of chaos. Just as a little quick reminder, the laws of chaos cannot be brought to light, though never understood. Oh, they can be brought to light, though never understood. So you can see what you're thinking, but don't try to figure it out in the sense of trying to, it's not going to ever make any clear sense because it's insane. It's not reasonable. It can't be understood. But of these laws that can't be understood but can be seen, the first chaotic law in paragraph 20, and this is the truth is different for everyone. And think how this seems to interfere with the first principle of miracles, which is there's no order of difficulty in miracles. So the first chaotic law is truth is different for everyone. The second law of chaos, dear indeed to every worshiper of sin, is that each one must sin, therefore deserves attack and death. Okay, and then it talks a little bit about that one, and in paragraph 24, towards the end, he says this leads directly to the third preposterous belief that seems to make chaos eternal. For if God cannot be mistaken, then he must accept his son's belief in what he is and hate him for it. Paragraph 25 is where we'll pick up today. Which see how the fear of God is reinforced by this third principle? So this preposterous belief that seems to make chaos eternal, for if God cannot be mistaken, then he must accept his son's belief in what he is and hate him for it. That is definitely a law of chaos. See how the fear of God is reinforced by this third principle? And let's just pick up there, because the fourth principle is down in paragraph 27, and the fifth principle is in paragraph 30. I'll bring your attention to them as we read to them. See how the fear of God is reinforced by this third principle? Now it becomes impossible to turn to him for help in misery, for now he has become the enemy, in quotes, because he is no enemy, of course, who caused it and to whom appeal is useless. Now can salvation lie within the Son, whose every aspect seems to be at war with him and justified in its attack? And now is conflict made inevitable and beyond the help of God. And now salvation must remain impossible, because the Savior has become the enemy. Paragraph 26. There can be no release and no escape. Atonement thus becomes a myth, and vengeance, not forgiveness, is the will of God. From where all of this begins, there is no sight of help that can succeed. Only destruction can be the outcome, and God himself seems to be siding with it to overcome his Son. Think not the ego will enable you to find escape from what it wants. That is the function of this course, which does not value which the ego cherishes. Okay, so this course's function does not value what the ego values or cherishes. And think not the ego will enable you to find escape from what it wants. That is the function of this course, which does not value what the ego cherishes. 27. The ego values only what it takes. This leads to the fourth law of chaos, which, if the others are accepted, must be true. This seeming law is the belief you have what you have taken. You know, we've talked a lot about that in our lessons, that what you give is what you're receiving. So this leads to the fourth law of chaos, which, if the others are accepted, must be true. This seeming law is the belief you have what you have taken. He's going to amplify that. By this, another's loss becomes your gain, and thus it fails to recognize that you can never take away save for from yourself. Yet all the other laws must lead to this. For enemies do not give willingly to one another, nor would they seek to share the things they value. And what your enemies would keep from you must be worth having, just because they keep it hidden from your sight. 28. All of the mechanisms of madness are seen emerging here. The, in quotes, enemy made strong by keeping hidden the valuable inheritance which should be yours, your justified position and attack for what has been withheld, and the inevitable loss the enemy must suffer to save yourself. Let's read that sentence again. All of the mechanisms of madness are seen emerging here. The enemy, and that's in quotes, the enemy, made strong by keeping hidden the valuable inheritance which should be yours, your justified position and attack for what has been withheld, and the inevitable loss the enemy must suffer to save yourself. Thus do the guilty ones protest their innocence, and that's in quotes. Were they not forced into this foul attack by the unscrupulous behavior of the enemy, they would respond with only kindness. But in a savage world, the kind cannot survive, so they must take or else be taken from. Now, that's not the life of faith, is it? That's kind of the earmark of this world, the building up of arms and defending yourself with locks and guns. And so, but in a savage world, the kind cannot survive, says the ego, so they must take or else be taken from. 29. And now there is a vague, unanswered question not yet explained. What is this precious thing, this priceless pearl, this hidden secret treasure to be wrested in righteous wrath from this most treacherous and cunning enemy? It must be what you want, but never found. And now you understand the reason why you found it not. For it was taken from you by this enemy and hidden where you would not think to look. He hid it in his body, making it the cover for his guilt, the hiding place for what belongs to you. Now must his body be destroyed and sacrificed that you may have that which belongs to you. His treachery demands his death that you may live, and you attack only in self-defense. Oh, the reasoning can go really deep, and that's what we've been locked in for so long, but the Holy Spirit can free our minds from this. And this is what Jesus is offering us, this new perspective of love. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. But he wants us to understand these chaotic laws so that we don't get trapped in them, that the way the ego works, Paragraph 30. But what is it you want that needs his death? Can you be sure your murderous attack is justified unless you know what it is for? And here a final principle of chaos comes to the rescue. It holds there is a substitute for love. This is the, in quotes, magic that will cure all your pain, the missing factor in your madness that makes it, in quotes, sane. This is the reason why you must attack. Here is what makes your vengeance justified. Behold, unveiled, the ego's secret gift torn from your brother's body, hidden there in malice and in hatred for the one to whom the gift belongs. He would deprive you of the secret ingredient which would give meaning to your life, the substitute for love, born of your enmity to one another, must be salvation. It has no substitute, and there is only one, and all your relationships have but the purpose of seizing it and making it your own. Paragraph 31. Never is your possession made complete. Never is your possession made complete. And never will your brother cease his attack on you for what you stole. Nor will God end his vengeance upon both, for in his madness he must have this substitute for love and kill you both. You who believe you walk in sanity, with feet on solid ground and through a world where meaning can be found, consider this. These are the laws on which your, in quotes, sanity appears to rest. These are the principles which make the ground beneath your feet seem solid, and it is here you look for meaning. These are the laws you made for your salvation. They hold in place the substitute for heaven which you prefer. This is their purpose. They were made for this. There is no point in asking what they mean. That is apparent. The means of madness must be insane. Are you as certain that you realize the goal is madness? Are you as certain that you realize the goal is madness? That's a good question. 32. No one wants madness, nor does anyone cling to his madness if he sees that this is what it is. What protects madness is the belief that it is true. It is the function of insanity to take the place of truth. It must be seen as truth to be believed. And it is the truth, then must it... Okay, it must be seen as truth to be believed. And if it is the truth, then must its opposite, which was the truth before, be madness now. Such a reversal, completely turned around, with madness sanity, illusion true, attack a kindness, hatred love, and murder benediction, is the goal the laws of chaos serve. These are the means which the laws of God appear to be reversed. Here do the laws of sin appear to hold love captive and let sin go free. Remember, as we're learning, that our old perspective of the world was upside down. We believed in attack as a way to protect ourselves. We didn't see ourselves in our brothers. Now, as we're beginning to see things the other way, you might go through a period of turbulence where things seem a little bit like upside down and not really clear, but that's part of the process of, being open-minded and allow the Holy Spirit to teach you and to guide you. And there's nothing more unfirm than an insane position. So as it begins, we'll begin to stabilize our realization that our salvation lies in our oneness with each other, our appreciation for each other, our defenselessness of each other. But those things seem to be opposite to safety from the ego's point of view. But we're learning not to listen to the ego as we learn the Course, which doesn't value the ego's thoughts. So it wanted to tell us the way the ego thinks, which are the laws of chaos. And we'll finish that. But there's your basically, I think, was it 5 laws of chaos? We'll read the rest of this tomorrow. Hopefully we'll finish that. We'll pick up in paragraph 33. Okay, and now let's go take one last look in our reading for the day. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I want the peace of God. Remember, to say these words is nothing, but to mean these words is everything. Remember that? The peace of God is everything I want. The peace of God is my one goal, the aim of all my living here, the end I seek, my purpose and my function and my life, while I abide where I am not at home. While I abide where I am not at home. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I want the peace of God. Okay, I'm hearing some deer snorting out in the woods, and thank you all so much for joining me here on the banks of Silver Creek at my friend John's place. And until tomorrow, tell yourself many, many times throughout the day, at least every hour, and hopefully in between, that I'm not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I want the peace of God. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. At least say that every hour. And be sure to take your longer 5-minute practice period of a morning, or 15 minutes of a morning and of the evening. And I'm finding that I need to take mine, a little bit before too late so that I can be a little more present. I get too tired. And some of you all might find that way too. But, you know, whatever works for you. But sometime in the evening, be sure to take your 15 minutes, and as soon as you can after you wake up in the morning. All right. And, of course, if you have a schedule where you work nights, you'll have to make substitution. All right. I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. Thank you so much for joining me. I want the peace of God. I want the peace of God. The peace of God is everything I want. The peace of God is my one goal, the aim of all my living here, the end I seek, my purpose and my function and my life, while I abide where I am not at home. I want the peace of God. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me.